Hi, my name's Lucia Raiford, and I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Carrie Meek Foundation, which is an organization created to perpetuate my mom's legislative legacy from her terms in Congress, Florida State House of Representatives, and the Florida Senate. We're engaged in a lot of similar work with the Women's Fund, absolutely bound at the hip with the Women's Fund and its programmatic priorities. My work with the Women's Fund, in fact, my introduction to the Women's Fund came soon after I moved back to Miami from a long career in New York City, which was my main work in New York was creating the domestic violence response for the largest police department in the world, New York City Police Department. And in doing that work, I traveled and lectured around the world across Europe and Asia and Africa. And you can't do that without meeting a few people. One of the people I met, of course, was Stacey Dugan. So when I moved, we became fast friends. When I moved back to Miami, Stacey was practicing law at Greenberg-Traurig, and I was starting a career with Miami-Dade County in human rights and fair employment practices. Stacey sneaked me into becoming obsessed about the Women's Fund, in that she was on the board at the time, and she convinced me that this would be the kind of organization that I would find rewarding to work with. What I didn't know was that she was also chair at the time. So Stacey introduced me to the Women's Fund. I joined the board and have not looked back since. It has been one of the more rewarding experiences of my professional and personal life. Not only did I get an opportunity to work on women's issues that were important and community issues that were important, I was also able to develop really close personal friendships that I have to this day, 20 or so years later. So I'm grateful for my social, personal, and professional work with Women's Fund. And I tell you, it's been one heck of a ride, and I hope it's a ride that will continue. So Stacey Dugan drew me in. Now, I tell you, there are certain things that I found particularly important about the Women's Fund and its work, and that is that it provides an opportunity for similarly minded women who care about their community and for whom care is an action word, and are willing to roll up their sleeves to try to figure it out for ways that we can approach gaining equality for women in all facets of a woman's life. The work is rooted in a concept that we women know very well, which is collaboration. There's one thing I've learned about working in organizations of all types. I think women really take leadership differently than men, and I'm very proud of that. We're more collaborative. We understand that relationships matter, and we leverage those relationships to our mutual advantage. And that's precisely what the Women's Fund has done and continues to do. And I think it is really the foundation for its success. We are friends to people, and people are friends to us, and we don't forget our friendships. I really am grateful for having had the opportunity to work with women who understand the concept of collaboration, have committed to embed that concept in the work that it does, and that works with every organization that I've been a part of that is also moving forward on the matters affecting women and girls. I have a couple of things that stand out from my work with Women's Fund. One is my impression in doing site visits when we were doing the really active grant making and going out into the community to respond to grant applications. I had a couple of very exciting circumstances. I also met another group of women who were not on the board and not employees, but certainly community people who were committed to making sure that the Women's Fund investments in small organizations were smart investments and were made with organizations that were doing the kind of work that we could be proud of. So I have a very, very, very nice track record of memories with doing site visits with people such as Donna Coker, with Ann Machado, and some others that are just too many to name. Also, it was a real stretch during my time on the board of the Women's Fund when the organization was putting its toe in the water as it tested a movement from merely grant making to becoming a group of advocates, and one that promoted advocacy for women. It was a stretch for some of the people on the board at the time, in that the organization was founded in its efforts to fund women's organizations or organizations that had women's equality as their priority. So talking about advocacy, even coming up with the language for advocacy in certain circumstances and the risk to which certain groups were put as compared to all others was a stretch, but I can tell you, these were a bunch of smart, roll up your sleeve kind of women. If you know me, you know that's the kind of women I like to work with and people I like to work with. And so we made the transition slowly, but surely, steadily, and certainly to become the organization that you see today that is absolutely unapologetic about its advocacy for women's equality in ways differently and more broadly than we did when I got on the board. But again, it's really a commitment to being impactful and beneficial to improving the quality of life for women in Miami-Dade by any means necessary that are legal. I can also tell you that I have certainly found my tribe in the Women's Fund and the women who have worked with and for and near the Women's Fund, in that typically women who come to this beloved organization are those that are committed to ensuring that the quality of life for women and girls in Miami-Dade County is improved. We all collectively understand how much work that takes. We all collectively understand that we don't even know yet the entire range of things that we have to consider in order to take strong and smart investments and actions in that direction. But there's one thing of which we're all absolutely sure. We're all willing to put the work in. So therefore, my relationship with the Women's Fund and the women who have been and are a part of it is that commitment to work, that commitment to the improvement of life for women and girls in this community, and thereby lifting our entire community up. The thing that resonates most with me about Women's Fund, and it's because I'm such a sap to tell you the truth, is the personal relationships that I've been able to develop as a result of my being on the board of the Women's Fund. I have met the most mixed group of progressive, conservative, equally smart, fearless women who are judgmental only about one thing. And that is judging how quickly, how smartly, and how should we progress in our advocacy for the equality of women and improving the lives and safety of women and girls. That's been its gift to me. I've met the most marvelous people, and hopefully I've been as much of a blessing to them as they have been for me. Thank you.